Good morning. Welcome to our weekly devotional. Today we are going to start following along with our sermon series called "I'm In," and so we're gonna take our devotionals from for the next 4 weeks, and those are going to be working with our sermon series called "I'm In." And so today, that's what we're actually looking at is one called "I'm Invited," and so. Within that, we talk about one of the things that Jesus does when he invites us is he talks about the kind of rest that he gives us and that his invitation gives us into our lives, which really so oftentimes are extremely busy, stressful, and just have so much that can go on that we just feel frazzled and maybe a little bit down. And so in contrast to that, Jesus offers us a way of life, following him, obedience to him. That's what I mean by that. He offers us a way of life which is restful, which can give us rest. And yeah, it still takes work, but that it can ultimately give us rest. And we're going to start by contrasting what Jesus can do with what the Pharisees did. And so we're going to read about the Pharisees first, and then we're going to read about what Jesus said, and ultimately how, obviously, when we're obedient to him, that's going to be better, and we're going to be able to enter into that rest. And so let's go to the Bible here in Matthew 23, starting in verse 24. I'm going to be reading from the New Living Translation, and it says, "Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, 'The teachers of the religious law and the Pharisees are the official interpreters of the law of Moses. So practice and obey whatever they tell you, but don't follow their example.'" Interesting. "For they don't practice what they teach. They crush people with unbearable religious demands and never lift a finger to ease the burden." And so Jesus is talking about the incredible demands that the Pharisees put on following the law. All of these rules and regulations and list keeping and checking things off to make sure that you earned your righteousness before God. And in verse 4, it tells us that they crush people with their unbearable religious demands and never lift a finger to ease the burden. So they don't care particularly about these people. Now, we're going to contrast that with what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 11 in verse 28. He says this, "Then Jesus said, 'Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest.'" Now, he doesn't say you get rest, you get a break, you're done. Verse 29. What he does say is this, "Take my yoke upon you, let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light." There's still some demands here on the teaching, from the teaching of Jesus. He gives us specific commands to follow. You remember, in fact, some of his commands, when you think about the Sermon on the Mount, are actually pretty difficult. When he starts listing the "you have heard it said, but I tell you," and some of his interpretations of those commands are actually pretty difficult to follow. But the thing is that his yoke is easy and his burden is light. So what that means is that it's something that fits you well. It's something you were made to live for. And it's something that can give you fulfillment. In other scripture, John 10:10, Jesus says, "I've come to give you life, and life that is to the fullest," or abundant life in some translations. And so Jesus's commands are something that actually give us life when we follow them. They're something that are really filling or fulfilling when we follow those commands. And more than that, he's not just making empty demands and not just kind of leaving us to our own problems. He says, "I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls." So he cares about us. And he's the teacher that wants to see us succeed, that wants to aid us in our way of living. And so that's why when Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary, and I'll give you rest," that's such a hopeful thing. And it's such a wonderful invitation into following him and being obedient to him. It's an invitation that should help us see that this is a truly unique thing. It's not an invitation into something horribly difficult and just demeaning. It's an invitation into something that takes work, but that will be fulfilling. And so it's an invitation to be fulfilled. And it's something that only Jesus can give us. And so I hope that you will respond to that this week, and that you will follow Jesus and be obedient to what he shows you in his word, because that's ultimately what we're after, right? So I hope that's helpful for you this week, and I hope that helps as you go through our series, I'm In. And if you are looking for that online, you can find that at greenwood.church/messages, and just look for the I'm In series. You can find it on YouTube or on Facebook also. And so you can find them there. You'll see sermon outlines and a download for the PDF that is our weekly our 4 weekly small group lessons on that. So you can look at all of those things online for free, and we hope that you'll do that. As always, we want to see you again soon, whether that's online or in person. Have a great week.